Hello, beautiful people. I really like that song. It is Faith by Galantis, Dolly Parton, and Mr. Probes. Because, I love my dance music. It is something that lifts me up and makes me happy and keeps me in my vortex and kind of helps me to get into my vortex if I'm not, where I'm supposed to be, or if my mind is not right. So music is very, very powerful. But the reason why I like that song so much, the whole faith thing, is not just because you're talking about, have a little faith in me, like to just believe in yourself, but really having faith in other people. So, I'm going to talk about, my experiences and all of the knowledge and skills that I acquired in order to be able to live my life happy and live my life right, and to get myself to a really good place, in terms of not just my physical health, but like my mental health, like severely my mental health, because of experiences that I went through. And so just to give some background on why I'm talking about having faith in other people being so important. So, I served in the military. I was, when I retired, I was an E6 in the Army. I joined in 2001 and was permanently retired in 2014. I was really unable to stay in my service to my country because of what we were exposed to in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and during also Operation Enduring Freedom, which is just basically the Iraq and Afghanistan war, right? The longest war that the U.S. and conflict that the U.S. has ever been in, because of experiences that I had, because of things that I had seen, because of actions that I either took myself or actions done to other people because of how I supported it. There was just such massive loss of life and loss of friends and loss of comrades, and it really hurt me. And it hurt me so much that I lost my faith in humankind. So there's a lot of distrust between the military service members and civilians who don't understand the experiences that we have, or the camaraderie that we form with each other, the special bond and friendship that we have, because we go through extreme pressure. We go through extreme experiences, and we experience them together. So it creates a really strong relationship, because we understand it's not enough for many of us for people to know what we've gone through, right? Because what we really require in order for us to heal or begin to heal is to talk to someone who can relate. And in order for someone to relate, they have to understand, right? And have gone through what you've gone through. That's what relating is. You can talk to any psychologist or therapist about any kind of emotional distress or mental distress disturbance that you might be having, but there's still going to be this disconnect if you don't think the person that you're talking to, or that person that you're that you've selected to try and get you into a place where you can function, and not just function, but thrive, right? In order to really get to that level of healing, you have to trust that person, and you have to trust that that person really understands what you're going through. So there's some relationship building going on, but the relationship building goes much faster if you feel like this person can relate to you, which is why picking someone to help you through an issue that you were going through, it's easier, and I just think it's just a better idea to follow someone who's blazed that path themselves, who's already gone through that themselves, who's found positive attributes and added those attributes and the skills to their life to, you know, not just get over it or deal with it, but to like grab it and run with it. Those are the kinds of people you should be seeking help from, that can help you get, you know, to that good place, a place that you want to get to. So we need to be able to relate. And when you, just personal experience, right? It's just my opinion because I'm sharing what I went through. Seeing the evils that men do to each other, seeing the negativity, like the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst that you could see, hear of, or experience, right? I've seen it, and I've experienced some of that, and it is my understanding that everyone suffers. It's part of being human, and it's part of living life, right? But because it's our own individual experience, we think that our suffering is worse than anyone else's suffering, when really it's just suffering. And how you deal with your suffering, how I deal with my suffering, and the perception that we get, the perception that we have is how we deal with it at the time. So because I had seen what I had seen and experienced, I really lost faith in humans. I lost trust in them. There were a lot of people and a lot of circles, friends even, that I would say were friends of mine that I no longer associated with. There were a lot of changes in my life by the time I had retired from the military. Who I once was no longer there. And we can talk about what soul retrieval is at another time. I would love to bring a beautiful soul on with me to be able to interview her so she does a way better explanation than me. But I had literally lost a piece of myself. A lot of people do with trauma, and so when I came back, I was not myself. And so it took a lot, years and years of trying to find out what worked for me. And because of what was going on with me, my brain no longer translates laboratory type chemicals or man-made chemicals put in a specific way. It's not positive for my body. So I will have every possible bad side effect to something, but not getting any of the good stuff that you're supposed to out of medications. This is why I took the natural approach to everything, because I had to. But you know what? It's so much healthier to do it that way. The path is harder when you do it a natural way, and there's a lot of work expected on your behalf, but the outcome, right, the value that you get out of doing it that way is so much better. So let me get back to point. Yeah, I had lost my trust in mankind, and the kind of person that I am, the kind of person that we really all are. We're all connected to each other, all of us, regardless of whether you believe it or whether you're like it. Everything that we do, everything that we say, even the things that we refrain from doing and saying, right? And the intentions that we put out in the world by doing those things, right? You create ripples that affect everybody, not just you. They affect everybody around you. They even affect people you don't think it's going to affect, because literally we are all connected. But I felt like I lost that connection just in being a human and being connected to other people. And I really feel that that is something that actually happens when you go through a trauma and you end up having a diagnosis like post-traumatic stress disorder, or when they tell you that you're bipolar, or if you have some kind of psychosis, right? All of this comes, you're not born with it. It comes because there's some kind of trauma. Something has happened to you in your environment where your mind, your psyche, and your body is reacting to that, right? Boom, I'm going to react to it. And this is how I react to it now. Whether it's fear, whether it's anxiety, whether you go into panic attacks, whether you just now have an aversion to people, whatever it is because something happened to you, right? And regardless of they're like, oh, well, that kind of runs in the family. No, each individual person makes their own choices. We all experience different things, and we all deal with those things, right, in different ways. Our inability to process those things is why we have mental illness. Our inability to get and have what we need to be able to heal is why people continue to walk around with these diagnoses. I decided that I was not going to be the trauma that was labeled on me. I decided that I was not going to allow myself to become more unhealthy and more sick by taking all these medications that are supposed to help me, because they weren't helping me. So instead of just sitting there and taking it or being unhappy, I decided to take action. So I built faith in myself by falling over and picking myself up again, and dealing with being completely chaotic and out of control, and then reining myself in and picking myself up again. Fighting with my own mind, right, about who I am and what I can do, and what my value is, and whether or not people really love me or care about me. Fighting with my own brain, that should be a logical thing, that was actually trying to hurt me. I was trying to hurt myself. My own mind was trying to convince me of things that were not true. And this is what happens with not only just depression as a flat, but also with bipolar, also with people who have or deal with narcissism, right? Your brain has convinced you of something that is not true, and so you suffer with it. And then when you suffer with it, other people suffer with it too, but you just only see yourself in this tiny little box, right? I'm right here. This is where I am. So when I started to really heal, when I actually started to see things that were working in my life, to get my head right, to be able to see who I was and communicate with myself and finally put me first, right? Because you can't build a castle on a crappy foundation, right? So there was nothing that I could really do for other people. I kept trying to give to others and give to others and give to others, and my cup was totally empty. It was empty, and I was just miserable and unhappy and angry at everything for no reason. It was just, that to me is my idea of insanity, was that there was nothing in my life that was very difficult. I had people who loved me. I had people who cared about me. I had all of these accomplishments under my belt. I had been very successful in a lot of things, but I didn't want to be around people. And I thought that I was totally by myself. I didn't think that anybody cared for me. I didn't think that anything I did counted. I didn't think I was worthy. And I just, part of me I just wanted to stop. I wanted everything to stop. I wanted to stop being in pain. I wanted to stop being in not just mental and emotional pain, but physical pain, right? Because I have chronic pain. And I just wanted everything to stop. And you don't have to, people don't have to look at it as a stigma where you just don't want to suffer anymore. It's totally natural to not want to feel unhappy. You know, I hate all these labels that people try to stick people in all these boxes, right? I don't belong in your box, right? I make my own decisions. I make my own choices. And I decide how I feel and how I'm going to respond to something and whether I'm going to react to it. I choose that. No one else chooses that for me. And no little pill or 3 pills or 5 pills is actually going to stop that from happening, right? There is no magic pill to be well. There isn't, right? It literally takes work. So when I started finally seeing things work for me, it was when I started reestablishing relationships with people, when I started learning to trust myself, when I started learning how to question my mind's thinking. And it's like, what? Yeah, you can't even trust yourself when you're in a place of depression or in a place where you're not good. When you're in a negative place, you can't trust yourself. You will lie to yourself. Your brain will convince you of things that are absolutely not true. This goes for jealousy in relationships. It goes, your brain, right? You are your own worst enemy. And if you don't know that yet, please, go ahead. Hook up one of those, ask me for a 15-minute free consultation, and I will show you how you are your own worst enemy. It's the craziest thing. But, I up until this point, I just found things that work. Now, I'm not going to say that I figured it out, because every single person is different. And there were a lot of things that worked for other people that didn't work for me. And there are a lot of things that might work for me that might not work for somebody else, right? And even if they worked then, you change. So things change. Which means just because it worked the last couple times, maybe you find yourself in a position where those coping skills don't work the next time. So always learning. Always be open. Always try. And always continue to build who you are, right? Build who you are. And build those very powerful, wonderful relationships with people. Trust other people. Trust that there are other people out there that are suffering just like you. Trust that there are other people out there who are doing their best, right? To not just survive, but to thrive and be abundant and be happy and be amazing and just live a life where every experience is just an experience. Not a bad experience or a good experience, just an experience, right? Get yourself to that place. Get yourself to that place where you can look at anything, whether it's bad or good, and just be able to accept that that's what you're going through or what you've been through. Acknowledge it, accept that that's happened, observe it, and just, continue on your way. Be thankful and grateful for that not so happy experience that made you stronger or taught you something, So that's what I wanted to leave. Not just faith in yourself. Build that relationship with other people. Even if you don't like being around other people, question yourself why. Why don't you like being around other people? Right? The Buddha says, right? Nothing exists outside of you that is not already inside of you. So if you want your environment to change, you have to change you first. And if you literally question why, just the question why do I react this way to people? Why do I feel this way in certain situations? What is going on with me? Why am I having such a difficult time, guy? Why do I want to punch Tim in the face? For not against anybody named Tim, but people you work with that you don't like, these relationships with these people that you should be building. Why do you see other people in a positive and or negative light? And you will always see that it is not really them. And it's not really that outside situation. It's really you and how you perceive things, how you react to things, and how you've chosen to respond, right? So everything starts with the self. And I want you to learn to have faith in yourself. And I want you to have faith in me. And I wish you so much love and happiness. I really do. All of us we're worthy, and we deserve absolute happiness in everything we do. And I want you to understand that. I want you to believe it, that you deserve this. And that you need to build relationships with people. And that you are the powerful creator of your existence. And that is nothing outside of you that doesn't already exist inside you. So if you are dealing with something right now, if you're dealing with a person right now, anything that you perceive as being a negative situation or a negative person or a negative thing, really take a good look on the inside. I promise you, you will figure that out, right? So if any of this struck a chord with you, If it was of value to you, if you had any questions, if you experienced this in any way, shape, or form, then please comment below and, do me a favor and support everything that I'm trying to do by bringing value to every person that I meet, by sharing what I've learned and everything, a knowledge that I've acquired and the experiences that I've gone through, and how to really just manifest. Be a manifestation base. Do it. Bring the things you want into your life. Become responsible. Know your individual power, right? Hit that subscribe button down there. And I will see you tomorrow. Namaste, most beautiful souls. Thank you so much.